It's going to be with Tony Parisi, who everybody knows because he is a virtual reality pioneer and head of AR VR ad innovations at Unity. And Peter Oberdorfer, who's the founder of Tactic, and he is also a 25-year veteran in digital entertainment and has co-founded many businesses and post-production firms. And I'm excited to hear what they have to say about the brand to camera.
Hi, my name is Peter Oberdorfer. Thanks for joining us today, and thank you to AWE for having us today. I'm with a company called Tactic. We're an AR agency, and co-presenting with me today is Tony Parisi of Unity. I'd like to turn it over to Tony, and we're going to talk a little bit today about AR with Unity and what my company does with their tool sets.
Yeah, hi there, Pete. How you doing? Good to see you.
Good.
Great to see everybody. Thank you to the team from AWE for bringing this together. Hope everyone's all having a good time out there, sheltering safe. Thank you for coming today. And Peter, I'm really excited to get into this with you. So a lot of folks here may have heard of Tactic already. You first came on the scene when I met you because of something called the living wine labels. Which you're going to talk about in a minute, using augmented reality, brought product packaging to life in a really novel way. And that's what this discussion today is about. I got to be honest, when I first saw this and I saw a wine label come to life by pointing my phone at it, I thought it was cool, but I wasn't sure it was going to work or be effective. And it's turned out you have created an amazing new medium for having consumers engage with products. And I can't wait to get into it with you today and talk about that. So before we do, why don't you give us a bit of a brief on the Tactic journey, how you got here, that start with living wines, anything you want to talk about. Let's take a few minutes, introduce yourself and talk us through that journey. And then we'll dive into the main subject matter after that.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. When we started the company, we were sort of a full service experiential, doing a lot of real time. And, to be honest, this kind of brand in the hand marketing that we call it, where we trigger AR off of packaging, was something that just occurred to us for a particular customer. In this case, it was Treasury Wine Estates and their brand 19 Crimes. And, having stumbled upon this and having done a lot of AR prior to this, helping develop HoloLens product as an external company developing for Microsoft, we're familiar with the medium, but we really had no idea of the pent-up demand for AR that was there by around 2017 when this sort of started off for us. And then since then, we've kind of, seen the demand uptick and lots of users adapt this and really get, there was an audience used to using cameras to reach out to the world, and having brand experiences right off of products seemed like a natural fit. And so now we're working with, not only wines and spirits, but also Procter & Gamble, Coca Cola, all sorts of brands, food, other CPGs. And we see that this is really a thing at this point. And people, have been, without any introduction and without any instruction, are able to pick up these packages and almost expect to have these kinds of experiences at this point. So we're looking at a whole new category of marketing that we call brand in the hand.
And lots of people, we're going to get into this, we're going to do numbers toward the end of the talk here.
Yeah.
Just for folks who aren't enlightened, but I think pretty much everybody knows about us. Hold on here, sorry. There we go. Yeah. We can show some more of these brands first here. Let's talk about this. You mentioned 19 Crimes. Let's get into this. What else are we looking at here?
Oh, this is like a whole slew of brands, and there are lots that we haven't included. This is sort of a wallpaper of some of the things we've done, but we've done things for cosmetics with like Benefit and Lime Crime. We've done shampoos, herbal essences, lots and lots of wines and spirits. That seems to be a category that keeps going. So we're working with Jack Daniels and Jim Beam, kind of, the opposing forces of the whiskey set. And then Nowadays we're doing a lot of frozen desserts and, more cosmetics, more food. The categories keep expanding. A lot of the time we use both, pre-sale and at consumption type of experiences. And the ideas keep opening up. I mean, really, it's all about telling stories right off of the packaging and having those types of things, those types of experiences brought home with the user.
This could really be anything. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's take just a minute, just for the folks who may be attending, who don't know what Unity's role is in this. Though I'm doubtful. I think most people know who we are in the world of AWE and augmented reality. We're the platform that powers most of that. Over 60% of the world's VR and AR started, basically as a game development software platform, but it's expanded to many, many other industries, including the creative industry, doing marketing like you guys are doing. And we exist to support our creators. So when a creator like Tactic comes along and does new category stuff, it is what we live for. I mean, it's literally on the mission statement we look at every day. And so, we're also in the advertising business. We help our mobile game publishers make money. So the idea that this advanced technology of augmented reality using a real-time 3D engine could be used for advertising and marketing purposes as well is just incredible. And here's just a set of highlights of features that Tactic has brought to bear, for example, that people could use that are the Unity Engine's AR features, as well as some of the other advanced rendering features and aspects of us as a platform. First off, being able to author your AR once and have it work across your mobile platforms. And not just mobile platforms, now what we call AR Foundation also runs on headset AR as well. So it can be generalized to HoloLens, Magic Leap, those kind of devices. Our asset store enables, all kinds of plugins, and I think you've used a bunch of plugins from the asset store. We can get into that when we dive into our case studies. And we have, now you can not just build a full self-contained mobile app with Unity, but you can embed it in an existing legacy app. And I think you guys have experimented with that too. So everything from taking an existing brand's app and bringing in the Unity engine to adding all these incredible production features, what we're here to enable. And this unique combination of those capabilities and someone brilliant like Tactic bringing this to market in this way has just got me over the moon about this. And Peter and I have been talking a lot and spending a lot of time together because of this in the last several months. So I feel so privileged to be able to spend a little time with you today and actually, get into this and talk about some of these case studies. So let's actually do that. And this is the first one, again, that, this isn't the first one, but this is one of the notable ones with Brand in the Hand, is what you've just recently done with Jack Daniels. So talk us through it.
Yeah, so, for sure, Unity has been sort of our core development tool set for all of these experiences. All of our native apps are developed in Unity, and that gives us like a really flexible springboard from which we can bolt on any functionality, either pre-existing from the asset store or things that we custom write and develop that we need to integrate into our stack. And that's what's really great about it.
What's going on with Jack Daniels here, though?
Well, so what we have here with Jack Daniels, we have like a pop-up storybook that kind of brings people the distillery. That's something that is a big event in the Jack Daniels world, and we brought it to the people on their iconic brand.
So it's like taking a physical distillery store, except you're doing it from wherever you are, in the store or at home looking at your label.
Kind of the whiskey Disneyland tour, but coming out on the bottle. So that was really a fun one in a pop-up book style that's in their whole iconography and color palette and things like that. We really try to align closely with the brand image and the brand story with each of our stories, but we make them experiential first and foremost. And I think that, some of the things we're talking about in this slide, I think are really important that we think are common to all of these experiences, are really seamless integration that we're able to achieve, with the game engine, so that the events sort of pop off of products seamlessly and we don't have them pop on the way you would see in maybe a social media kind of way when you see AR. It's something that seamlessly blends on, things come from around the back of the packaging, things kind of emerge in a magical way. And then we have them all be experiential so that you're not sort of getting a coupon first or a down first or a brand, ad speak first. You're getting some type of story driven or interactive experience.
An experience.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I recall correctly, there's audio on this JD campaign as well, and it's that same dude. It's the silky smooth guy you hear in the commercials, the TV commercials.
That's right. Yeah. So I
just love that. It's so unbelievably comforting and familiar.
So you kind of have this whole kind of holistic kind of thing. So you're in that world. You want that to be really easy for users to get to, so there's a low barrier of entry. And we want those stories to be consumable and casual because people can experience them on the store shelf or at home. So we make them like little segments of content that people can digest little by little and then go back and see new things each time instead of one big, long, ponderous story. So that way, by doing the chapter approach, we found there's less drop off, more interest, more
engagement, more returns. Yeah. What's going on? Anything specific with Jim Beam? What is this spaceship and astronaut all about?
Well, we're continuing our work with Jim Beam, and there's more to come soon. But this is a story of the 225-year history of the brand, which is a long history, right? And so we told this story, and we used, character animation and all kinds of animated objects and interactive things going on. And they kind of all happen on this little stage that comes out in front of the product. So this triggers off of all their main product line. And it's been really fun because it's a timeline approach that you can interactively go back and forth, through the years. It talks about things that happen in history with Jim Beam as the context. So
historical milestones such as the lunar landing and such.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah.
All right. So then this one blew my mind when I found out that this was coming in the holidays last year. I could not wait for the release of what you did with Coca Cola. So let's just tell everyone what happened. What is this? What are we seeing a video of? Take us through what you did with Coke around the holidays last year.
So this was the first. So Coca Cola has its native app, right? And they wanted, for the first time, to feature an augmented reality experience within their native app. So this is their first big North American brand launch of AR, and they did it with their iconic polar bears for their holiday campaign. And so what it did is it would cover all the Coca-Cola and Coke Zero Sugar cans and bottles from that release. And
so I launched this by pointing at the can, pointing my phone.
That's right. So you have the Coke app, and the Coke app says, try our AR experience. You point at the cans and bottles. It launches these different experiences. And there are all these different wintertime stories in this world we built around the polar bear family that you saw in all the ads. And so we have, like little music making things with the family blowing into bottles, or we have like light shows on the house with all kinds of music, or we have things where they're going down, you're triggering to go down this polar slide, kind of like one of those kids' toys. Or we have a gamified thing where you can throw snowballs and fight with the bears interactively and dodge and parry kind of. So all that was really fun, and we relied on all of the mechanism blending tools in Unity, all of the
so that's what we're seeing over here, right? Sorry, So I'm seeing a Unity editor view on the right of the video.
Built the whole thing that way, and we used a visual effects pipeline and animation pipeline right into Unity. We could rapidly change animations, mix new things in, change gameplay, prototype gameplay. When the client would sort of say, hey, we have an idea or whatever, we could work back and forth and prototype that idea. So it was almost like previs into final, right all the way up to the end. And that was so flexible for us because we had a really tight development pipeline, and Unity gave us the tools to really execute upon that. And then even on the finishing, my background is in, film visual effects.
Yeah, you just said previs. I mean, you're just the drop of VFX lingo now. So you might want to sidebar for a second and tell people about that.
Right. It allowed me to work in the way that I was used to. I spent a long time, in the visual effects world working on, feature films like, superhero movies like Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, as well as animated features like Happy Feet. And this was a lot like Happy Feet, where we're doing color correction on the snow and icicles and all that stuff. And we could go into this sort of DI suite and do color correction right from the Unity editor all the way up until the end to get just the right looks we wanted, as well as have all the gameplay and animation work. It was fantastic.
But unlike Happy Feet, it did not take 18 months.
No,
to make, or however long that took.
It didn't
right?
take 70 people and 18 months in our studio. Like
it was weeks,
before.
I assume, right?
Yeah, that was months and months. This was weeks. Yeah, this was weeks. So that was
fantastic.
A lot easier. Yeah.
And I mean, one of the most iconic brands on the planet, if not the most.
Yeah.
Must have been super gratifying. I assume they were very happy with it.
Oh, they're very happy.
Success.
We continue to work with them, and there's definitely a lot of pickup as we see that the audience is ready for AR now. And so we've got hundreds of thousands of people experiencing this during the holidays. And we look forward to working with them more on new activations.
So I think I want to go through these real quick because we do want to leave some time for Q&A, and I know we're going to come up against it. These are rather short time frames here. So take us real quick through 19 Crimes. And this is the one that most people probably know.
Yeah.
I see these Treasury wine bottles everywhere. This was the first thing that put you guys on the map. And again, I was shocked at how performant it was and how successful it was. So give us like a minute or two on Treasury.
Yeah, lightning round. Yeah, we used, we built out from 19 Crimes, we built out to 70, 80 different experiences on Living Wine labels. We load those back and forth from the cloud on Unity bundles. We can do things like push notifications, even GPS from assets from the asset store. We're able to localize this and push it through the Unity UI editor so that we could get 13 different languages through the whole thing.
Nice.
Lots and lots of experiences. As I said, we're able to do couponing, promotions, all these sort of third-party APIs, whether that be like Salesforce integration or Shopify or any of these kinds of things, you can kind of input into the stack, and it's flexible and open. Yeah.
And then you did this with Walking Dead, with Skybound.
Yeah, and with Skybound, we were able to take that property and have, multiple experiences. One of the things we did was use like pathfinding from Unity to have the characters break out of each bottle if they saw two bottles and then fight each other on the tabletop. So there's lots of things that we could do using, basically standing on the shoulders of game engines and mobile development that
and
really
thousands
allow
game devs who have built plugins.
Exactly. And leveraging that for a new purpose, which we think is a really powerful communication tool for AR.
Yeah, and I know some Skybound folks, and they told me, I met them subsequently, and I was talking about you, and they were like, yeah, we love them. This worked out great. So we got a couple of minutes. Let's talk about some numbers, because this is the thing that our audience might not know is not only is this cool, this is actually performing. So they can see the slide here, maybe pick two of the stats and talk about why they're important. There's so many of them.
Well, I think like one of the big ones is, at this point, these aren't even completely up to date. We're approaching 5 million downloads, unique downloads.
Of an app that you have to go to the App Store and get. You have to consciously do that.
Yeah, and each session, there's multiple sessions per user, and it's 3 minutes of engagement time, which, you compare that to a broadcast commercial or a web ad. It's like a huge engagement time. And then the main thing I would say is it's had over a 250% sales increase for brands like 19 Crimes since the AR app came out. So that is a use case that in the marketplace shows the power of AR in sales. And that's where we were not expecting this type of response. And I think that's where we can return on investment for our customers, is be able to tell these stories in ways that people really are receptive to and they value, So that is
where the rubber hits the road, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is so impressive. And I hope you get to repeat that playbook with many, many other brands.
Oh, for sure.
And so that leads into where we're taking this, right? So, and you've shown a lot of beverages, but as you showed in the earlier slide, it's multiple different product categories. So how big can this get? Because when I think about this, I think about our tech enabling the convergence of the physical and digital to do all kinds of novel stuff, bring a product package to life, like you're doing, potentially be an integral part of multiple product experiences. We've seen how Lego's been doing this with some of their toy sets, where the gameplay in AR is connected up to the product packaging, but it's not just the packaging. You dive in, you're in the toy. The toy is augmented. So I mean, when I look at this, I think we're just seeing the kind of the tip of the iceberg. But you're in it every day. So what do you think?
Yeah, and I'm sure, people are talking about this in all the other panels as well. I mean, I see this as becoming more and more native to mobile devices so that there's less and less barriers of entry, whether that's direct web delivery or straight from native cameras on the hardware. I see this getting more and more modular, so it's more and more of a content channel. And I think, you know, brands will be positioning themselves as, you know, everything in the environment is something that we can augment and we can derive more information from. And then on top of that,
consumers can interact to learn or get pricing information or give feedback or connect with each other.
All of that, social, navigation, information, but then we always lead with the experiential so that people can emotionally connect to these things. And then from there, you've got really a
functional
that people continue to have. And that's something that I think is an extension of themselves they connect with in the environment. And that's getting more and more seamless in the way it's happening. So
and again, I think you and I see eye to eye. It could be every product category. Anything that's got a physical piece of packaging or physicality to the product can be enhanced with this kind of tech.
That's right.
That is such an amazing vision. I got to tell you, we at Unity, as I opened this with, we are so appreciative we have creators like you who make the world a better place. That is why we exist. Really glad that we could spend the time with you in the audience today, Pete, on this. Before we go to Q&A, you get the last word.
Well, I think, you know, we're really excited about where this is going, as Tony said. And I think, you know, Unity continues to evolve as a tool set that we can rely on to continue these types of experiences and see where it's going into the next years and, you know, decades ahead. So we're just at the beginning of this.
That's great. Thanks again, Pete. Thank you, AWE. And now it's time for Q&A.